Man, I tell you what, this game, the Fever let slip away. They should have. Mm, they should have walked away with this win, but they didn't. They played to Angel Reese's strength, which is offensive rebounds. And she only had 3 offensive rebounds, but 16 total, along with 25 points. Kennedy Carter had 23, but 3 big ones came in the fourth quarter. And the Sky raced back from a dozen down to beat the Indiana Fever and stop their 4-game winning streak by a final of 88-87. Chicago's now 6-9 on the season. Indiana's now 7-11. I don't know how to explain this one, because when the Fever took an 82-70 lead, 82-70 with a little more than 7 minutes remaining, I thought, okay, a little bit of maintenance and that'll be that. But Christy Sides kept sticking the wrong player in the corner, taking 3-point shots. And they didn't match the strength of the Chicago Sky, which is inside. Now, Lisa Smith finished with a dozen with 7 rebounds. Aaliyah Boston, 16 and 7 rebounds, but they allowed too many offensive rebounds to Chicago. The offensive rebound totals, as I'm looking at it, 7-1. Okay? 7 offensive rebounds for Chicago, only 1 for Indiana. And you know who that offensive rebound belonged to? Aaliyah Boston. There are 3 problems with this game. A, in the second half, they didn't attack the offensive boards. Well, they didn't attack the offensive boards the entire game. B, they settled on jump shots in the fourth quarter. Now, Alyssa Smith missed all of her shots in the fourth period. She took 5 shots, including a 3-point attempt in the fourth quarter, and missed them all. And 3, they went away from Caitlin Clark. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of narrative saying, see, she can't carry the team. That's because the coach didn't let her. That's as simple as that. The coach didn't let her. I'll tell you what, man. The Fever, they came in holding the 8th spot. They're going to mess around and let it slip unless they run the offense through their 2 best players, Caitlin Clark and Alyssa Boston. That's it. We're going to take a look at the standings right now, because coming into this game, the Fever had won 4 in a row, and they were sitting in the 8th spot for the playoffs. Angel Reese becomes the 6th rookie in WNBA history with 25 plus points and 15 plus rebounds in the home victory. Danny Fuller says, I tried watching it, was terrible. Wanted to see the people paying $270 a seat. No lies, so many empty seats. How many empty seats were there in the house? Because I can't get an attendance figure here unless I look here. Let me see. Nope. There's no attendance figure here. There's no attendance figure. At least not from where I'm looking. There's no attendance figure for this game. And Danny's telling me there were so many empty seats. It wasn't even funny. I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt it. I won't say, but many above the first level. That's what I figured. That's what I figured because the tickets were so. My reasoning, my theory is the tickets were so expensive, even for Caitlin Clark coming into town, that folks weren't going to pony up the money to buy the tickets. That's just my theory. I won't call it a reason yet until it's proven, but that's just my theory right now. Indiana now drops into the ninth spot while Chicago jumps them into the eighth slot. But there's still 22 games left in the season. Indiana 6-4 in their last 10. Reverse the numbers for Chicago, but yet Chicago's played less games, and therefore they, with a 40% winning percentage and 7.5 games out, jump into the eighth slot. The top 8 teams make the playoffs, and from 8-1, it goes Chicago at 8, Atlanta at 7, Phoenix at 6, the champs Vegas at 5, Seattle at 4, Minnesota 3, Connecticut 2, and New York 1. Connecticut actually lost today. The Liberty and the Minnesota Lynx will play for the Commissioner's Cup on Tuesday. Minnesota working on a 6-game winning streak. The Liberty have won 3 in a row. And oddly, Connecticut has lost 2 in a row. Vegas and Seattle both working off victories. Phoenix off of a loss. Atlanta's lost 3 in a row. And Indiana has already beaten them. So there's a chance they could jump them into the 7th slot. And as mentioned, Chicago holds the 8th slot right now. Danny says, so not to be knocking the WNBA, but when they come to LA, we got a few of the 4,000 free tickets, got 6 in great seats. I'm not surprised. But when they came to LA, when the Fever came to LA, they sold out the house. 18,997. I just want to know what the attendance figure was for this game in Chicago. And I'm also wondering why they didn't. Here's my answer. 9,872. 9,872 out of a possible. Well, let me find out. We're doing this one as we go. Chief Rocker with a $20 super sticker. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. If y'all want to help the Snowman out, I would appreciate it if you do by helping with a Cash App or a super chat or a super sticker. All of that would be fantastic. And I got a few things that I have to accomplish this week. So a Cash App could really help things along here. 10,387 is the official attendance figure for basketball. But I'm thinking they could throw 12,000 in there, and they had, I just saw the number, 9,872 in the house today. Victor says, talk to sides. If no change in direction for team strategies, she would be gone. True. New coach would get rid of dead wood immediately. This is not hard. Don't waste CC's time. Don't waste fans' time and money. Correct you are. Right you are, Victor. Right you are. This is not rocket science. This loss is pinned on Christy Sides today for taking her foot and the team's foot off the pedal when they had a chance to blow the daylights out of the Chicago sky today. When they had a chance to blow the doors off the joint. Up 12 with less than 7 minutes remaining. Let me repeat myself. Up 12 with less than 7 minutes remaining. And they blew it. They flat out blew it. They blew it. Just makes me so mad when I see things like this. When I see teams that seem to be turning the corner When they seem to be turning the corner, this happens. They went away from their weapons. They blew it. They absolutely blew a 12-point lead, and they deserved to lose. The Indiana Fever deserved to lose for allowing Chicago to get their act together in the final 7 minutes. And the Sky did exactly what they were supposed to do. They ran the ball inside, and Indiana had no answer. None. No double teams came Angel Reese's way. No double teams came Carmela Cardoso's way. But they didn't need Carmela Cardoso. They ran the ball through Angel Reese, and she got it done. 14 in the fourth quarter. 14. You didn't hear from Kennedy Carter until she made a layup in the final 2 minutes. With a player the talent of Angel Reese, you have to send a posse after her. Thank you to the late, great Jim Durham for that phrase. And they didn't. They didn't. And not only did it cost them this game, I have a fear that it also cost them a playoff spot. Just when they were getting their act together. And I have to throw this question because now it fits and it's necessary. To Coach Christie sides, about today's game, I have but one question and one question only.
How do you fuck that up? How do you fuck that up?
And she did. She royally...
How do you fuck that up? How do you fuck that up?
You know what the bad part is? Caitlin Clark was starting to feel the groove in the second half. She had 17 points. She had 13 assists. She got the team involved, and yet they took their foot off the pedal. They took their foot off the pedal and started settling for jump shots. Yeah, playmaker, she was on one today. 26 points and 16 rebounds or 15 rebounds. 26 points and 15 rebounds, and the Fever had no answer. And now, as I'll say it again, not only did it cost them the game, it may have cost them a shot in September. And I'll drop the question again to not only Christie Sides, but the entire team of the Indiana Fever.
How do you fuck that up? How do you fuck that up?
Relied on jump shots way too much. They blew a few layups late in the second half, and they allowed Chicago to race back from a 12-point deficit on the strength of an 18-4 run. 18-5 run, I beg your pardon. My math is off. And DOD, you just might be right. This game just may have sealed a Rookie of the Year vote, the Rookie of the Year award for Angel Reese. Because she played to her strength, and Coach T. Spoon allowed her to play to her strength. When Angel Reese got a couple of buckets down to cut the lead to 82-75, T. Spoon says, we go through Angel until we go to sleep. Not rocket science. And there was no counter either. They took the ball out of Caitlin Clark's hands. No assists in the final 10 minutes. Thank you, playmaker, for that. Only 6 points, a rebound, and again, no assists in the final 10 minutes. She had 13 assists at the end of 3 quarters, none in the fourth quarter. And because they took the ball out of Caitlin Clark's hands, and where am I looking? I'm looking over here. They put it into other people's hands instead of the player who got you that lead. They took it out of the key player's hands, and that was that. The ball movement was stale. The ball didn't hop. And they allowed the Chicago Sky to sock them in the mouth to pick up their first win against them this year. Now, the Fever lead the series 2 games to the season series 2 games to 1. But 2 very important things. They allowed the Sky to jump them, And now they have to work off of a loss from a game that should have been a total win, should have been a total wipeout. You got to keep the ball in Caitlin Clark's hands. Coach Chris decides this is not rocket science. Your team drafted Caitlin Clark for a reason. Use that reason. That's for her shooting, and that's for her playmaking ability. And all the momentum that they gathered from that 4-game winning streak because they were moving the ball. Because they were moving the ball. I'll say it again. Because they were moving the ball, and the fourth quarter today wiped all that momentum away. Not even the full fourth quarter. They took an 82-70 lead with 7:28 remaining, and then the offense and defense, for that matter, went quiet. 3 3-point plays in the fourth quarter by Angel Reese off of 3 silly fouls from Nalissa Smith. She had 2 fouls entering the fourth quarter. She finished with 5 fouls, and all 3 of those fouls were against Angel Reese in the post, and Nalissa Smith had no answer. Neither did Indiana. They deserve to lose this game. When you take the ball out of your best player's hands, I've seen it too many times. I have seen it entire too many times in my 30 years of covering basketball, no matter what the level. When you take the ball out of your best player's hands, you are bound to lose. And it happened today in the final 7:28 of the fourth quarter. They took the ball out of Caitlin Clark's hands, and that was the end of that. Meanwhile, for Chicago, they had yet to put the ball in their best player's hands. They had yet to put the ball in Angel Reese's hands until the final 7:28. Kennedy Carter had 20 points at the half. 20. She finished with 23. Guess where those final 3 points came from? In the last part of the fourth quarter. Brent Musburger said it a long time ago. The fourth period is the money period. And Indiana lost the money today, and Chicago snatched the money. Let's just be real. The Chicago Sky snatched the Indiana Fever's money today. Period. They snatched the Indiana Fever's money today, and the Indiana Fever absolutely deserved to get their money snatched for not relying on their best player. Hell, for the most part, they didn't even rely on Aaliyah Boston, which I've said all along, and I continue to say that would be a frightening pick and roll duo. Frightening. If they just use them. Meanwhile, Kennedy Carter and Angel Reese, and for that matter, Camila Cardoso, got their act together. And all it took was 7:28 for them to do it. Indiana got too full of themselves. Indiana got too full of themselves, and the Sky got pissed because they were getting blown away on their own floor. This is the 4th time this year that Indiana has held a double-digit lead in a game and lost. 4th time this year. That simply cannot happen. You deserve to lose. You deserve to not make the playoffs after a game like this, which will determine standings, and you let it slip away. No, matter of fact, give me this. Give me this. This is the best way I can describe what happened today. Hey, Christy Sides, this was your bag in terms of a win today against the Chicago Sky. That's what you did in the final 7:28 of the game. You flat out dropped it. You dropped it. That should have been a playoff spot clinched, even though there's a long way to go. And I'll say my fear again aloud. I hope to be proven wrong because I called for them and Chicago to make the playoffs this year. But I think this game kind of sealed Indiana's fate. I hope to be wrong. I hope to be wrong in saying that. On that note, I got to jump out for a bit because I got to go get some dinner for my wife. But when I come back at about 9:00, I'll do this again and I'll add a little more to it. For now, Snowman here saying thank you, and I'll talk to y'all in about 90 minutes from now.